what I'm gonna share with you today is probably, I don't know, you might have come across it, you might not have, but I'm gonna take a bit of a different approach when it comes to just what I feel called to share with you guys about meditation today. And the cool thing about it is you don't have to fit it into a box, you know, like we don't have to label it. It isn't really anything besides sitting with yourself and picking an intention for what path you want to go down for that day. And that's the power of it, is the more you do it, the better you get at being able to create whatever desired state within yourself with a specific intention in mind to create whatever internal state that you want to. And like the more aware you become, the better you get at it in meditation. It's like basically playing an instrument, believe it or not, because we as human vehicles are an instrument, and meditation gives you the opportunity to sit back and be present with your own instrument and to start like strumming whatever chords that you want to, plucking whatever strings you want to, and creating different frequencies and feeling into where those frequencies are in your body, playing with those energies in your body and your mind, and creating whatever desired state and whatever you want to focus on. And the reason why it's so important, and what I'm going to cover more today, and we're going to touch on this a few times over the weekend, or over the week, but what the biggest realization for me in meditation was that it's about dealing and managing with your multi-dimensionality, right? Because we coexist in multiple planes of existence, in multiple dimensions, and that can get really trippy and really kind of hard to, especially as you become more consciously aware of this stuff. The work required to advance yourself to the next level becomes very nuanced, and you have to be able to find like what's going on inside of your operating system. Like what you said, Eric, it literally is. You can view yourself as an instrument, a operating system like a computer, however you want to view yourself. But the key is that we need to acknowledge that in our multiple planes of existence, that there is a higher spiritual source that is us, basically, right? And we are here in a physical body on planet Earth that has to deal with all of the shit that goes on in our physical realm. We have to deal with all of the density. We have to deal with all of the distraction, all of the programming that's been programmed into us throughout our entire life, all of the energies and emotions that are present from other people, other beings, other things around us. And in meditation, we have to try and basically unprogram all of those things and return back to our core and our truth and connect to our higher self, or the higher spiritual source that we have available to us. So think of like the spiritual source. I don't know how you want to view that. It's totally up to you. You're all going to have different inclinations, different intuitions on what's best for you. I'm just going to change chairs for the moment. But we essentially, I talk about the great central sun a fair bit. Have you guys heard me talk about that before? Yeah. Like the source of all creation, and how, like your kid Eric and Michael, for them to operate and for them to be brought into this reality, they have to have you in them. And the same goes for us with the Creator. So the origin of creation, doesn't matter what your beliefs are. It can literally be scientific around the Big Bang. It can be more spiritual, more godlike, more source-like, however you view that. But something created you. And for that to occur, the creation of what that energy is has to be infused into you at all times. And, you know, some of us walk around with that realization that we are connected to like source, spirit, that higher energy frequency, and most don't. They walk around with a veil over their consciousness that blocks them off from that realization and that understanding. But in meditation, for me, but when I go into any meditation, the first, I call it like the layup, right? It's like in a basketball game, you've got the layup and the slam dunk. The alley-oop, where it's like laid up and then the other guy comes in and basically closes the shot. And this process does that for you, where it's like, it's the setup, it's the foundational work required to get you into a really good meditation every time. And even that is limiting. It's like there is no good or bad meditation. There only is what is, and whatever's meant to come up, whatever experience you're meant to have, that's perfect. But let's picture this as the great central sun, CS, central sun, the prime creator of the Most High, and they, or it, the all, however you want to describe that, basically has a flow or a stream of energy and light that is flowing through everything in the universe. And in our realm, to simplify a little bit, that information stream then flows through all galaxies, all planets, and all entities and beings. So consider this like a galaxy. So if there are galaxies, then from each one of those galaxies, we are a fractal of that here on planet Earth. So consider that planets. And to be residing, actually, let's make this bigger. So, and then we've basically got our, I'm going to call this your higher self, okay? And where your higher self is in the hierarchy and the organization of the universe, I don't know. We're all different. We all have different origins from different levels of consciousness, but for some reason, we're here on planet Earth right now, okay? And what happens is that this flow of information streams down through everything, but if this, the prime creator of the Most High, the central sun, if it originates, another core principle is that we have 12 dimensions of consciousness in our universe, yeah? And each dimension holds a specific frequency. And the further down the dimensions you go, the more dense life and living becomes. We become more matter-like, more dense. And so the prime creator of the Most High is the 12th dimension. And then there's trillions of galaxies, planets, entities that basically organize themselves in corresponding dimensions. And the more we evolve, the more enlightened we become, we basically continue to develop our ability to hold more light and return to the creator. But we're here in the densities to learn about this density and to learn more about ourselves. And by doing so, we evolve up through the dimensions of consciousness. And I haven't like mathematically gridded this out, but we're here on 3D / 4D really, because Earth is holding both of these frequencies at the moment, and we're transcending to the fifth dimension as a collective, as a planet on Earth. And your higher self is up there in 6D, right? And when this information streams down, when it streams down through the densities or the dimensions of consciousness, it continues to become more distorted. So think of like when light has to travel through matter, it becomes distorted, right? It's not as pure, it's not its purest form anymore. And light starts to bend depending on like how dense that thing is. But all light travels through all matter at some capacity. The more dense an object is, there's going to be less light that can travel through it, and the lighter or higher vibrational something is, more light is going to be able to stream and travel through it. In other words, more intelligence, more consciousness. So if we want to become more conscious, and if we want to become more aware, if we want to gain a bigger, higher perspective on a situation, a problem, anything that we're going through in our physical everyday life, well, our first primary objective is to basically increase our vibration so we can absorb more light from the Most High that's streaming down through us at all times. And so if I stop making eye contact at points, I'm like, I go somewhere else to like basically try and explain this stuff sometimes. So then our objective, because our higher self is very connected to more light in higher realms, what our job is, and it's not our job, but it's a choice that we make in meditation, to either we can call upon different entities, we can call upon different things in our meditation to basically like receive their intelligence, to help us and assist us in having deeper meditations, to come to realizations, to have epiphanies in meditation, and even just to achieve like a vibration of peace and harmony with ourselves. But what we need to do is in meditation, we need to create a process for ourselves before we get into a meditation. So, you know, there's one version of meditation where we can literally just be sitting with ourselves and not setting an intention, right? Where we're just an open mind and we're susceptible to anything coming in. And that's where we're typically plagued with our own thoughts, and that's why most people give up meditation, because they never set intentions for what experience they want to have, and they don't believe they have that power. But when you create an intention, what your intention does, depending on what intention you set, for example, if you set an intention to connect with your higher self, what you're doing is pinging out a signal, basically like a radio communication to your higher self that says, hey, I'm consciously aware that you're here. I want your guidance and help in this now moment for this meditation. I want to connect to your higher light frequency energies. Guide me in doing so. I want your help. Your higher self is going to say, okay, if it's right for that moment. Same thing goes if you want to start receiving more light from the Prime Creator of the Most High, you need to intentionally acknowledge it and set the intention and put a request out to the universe to receive those energies. Like if you want to call your missus, what do? You set the intention, you pick up your phone and you dial the number, the frequency that then, or the number that plugs into a frequency on your phone that allows that radio signal connection, that phone signal to happen, which then opens up the communication channel for you to have that conversation. It's the same technology, just done through your brain instead of a physical device.
I feel like this is where dogma, organized religion, where prayer comes from.
Yes,
This is how we've translated prayer.
Yes.
This is the conversation with that higher self, with source, with...
Yep. Like prayer connecting to God, same thing. But most people don't realize that it's within themselves, and that's where prayer becomes distorted. It's like, oh, Jesus, my savior, someone else outside of me who's to save me, or God outside of me, help me. But it's like, it's acknowledging that basically that you are, the God is within you, but you are just living a unique, individualized experience here on earth where we can perceive that we are disconnected from this source at times, but the meditation is basically to reconnect with it. So yes, the cool thing is that when you get more conscious, your everyday life is a walking meditation. You don't have to ritualize it where it's like, oh, I'm now going to meditate. Meditation becomes your everyday state of being. Yep.
So basically we're like an extension of the central sun.
Yep.
We just, while we're meditating, you're kind of like sending a signal, like let's say that you and I are like, well, we're right now, I'm just trying to send a signal that it's not visible, but we're feeling an energetic, and that's basically what's going on, right?
Yep.
It's within us because we're an extension of it. Like you were saying that by the hand.
Yes, same
us,
thing.
And the central sun is the hand.
Or think of the central sun as the entire body, and like you are a finger of the body.
Got it.
And like the arm is your galaxy that you live within, and the hand is your earth. Does that make sense? So it's all like perspective, but that's another analogy you can make with yourself, yeah. Because that's where all information comes from. So it applies on a spiritual level if you just want to get connected and you want to absorb like a frequency of peace and harmony and acceptance and love, for example. But it also works if you want to solve a business problem, if you want to solve a performance problem, if you want to solve any issue in your life. Where's the information going to come from? Up here. So we've got to connect with it. and we've got to absorb it, and we've got to create breathwork practices that are, it's nothing new. I'm not going to teach you anything new that hasn't been taught before. It's all been taught. It's all there. It's all knowledge, but you just got to know where to look. And it, you know, the more you look inside, the more this becomes aware to you, or it gets delivered to you. But when you create breathwork practices, there's nothing separating breathwork and meditation, right? Because meditation is a state of being, and breath is the intelligence that we breathe throughout our days. That's what keeps us alive. It's what keeps us going. It basically is the...
I used to do things like without intention, and it was like, I'm not getting anything. But when you start talking about, I saw that recorded mastermind that you were in that mastermind, and you talk about like lengthy, about having intention for everything that you do. Like click for me.
Because it's what you're doing is you're working with your, all intention is, it's creating a direction for your consciousness to flow, right? So when you want to drive somewhere in your car, you set your consciousness, but you channel your consciousness into Google Maps, and you let Google Maps do the work, yeah? And Google Maps is like, oh, your intention is to go here. I'll take you there. You can do the same thing consciously with anything you want to create in your life. And this is where shit gets real fun. Because when you start playing with your consciousness, you realize that like shit will start happening in this matrix that doesn't make any logical sense. It's really funny. One example, when I was like just creating a video, I asked for guidance that I was on the right path. And I was about to teach like a business principle. And I was like, is this aligned? Is this on the right path? But then randomly a fucking penny showed up in my little, like that there. Then it's like, what? And it was sitting perfectly where I could see it, and I was only just tucked in enough. So if I was walking around, it like would have fallen out, and I don't put pennies in there. Like, you know. But stuff like just small things like that will happen. And then another association you can make with like consciousness is, you know, when it's basically telepathic communication. It means that there is the fundamental principle is that there's no separation between anything. Everything is energetically connected through the principles of quantum physics, which we know very well scientifically. It's more of a foundational gateway into this higher level stuff, if you will. But when you understand that everything vibrates and everything is connected quantumly, well, then that's basically the laws in which communication happens by. So when you want to communicate with someone, you can do it telepathically too. Now, I haven't really opened up a lot of like my telepathic abilities yet to do it with us, but eventually as we raise our level of consciousness, we could literally all be sitting in this conference room and no one would need to talk. Because it's just like ping, 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 yep, got it, all done. All right, we can go home now. But we've got to like go through a slower process of trying to get verbal communication out so everyone can basically like, we can all upload the intelligence of this room, and then through conversations and through allowing different conversations to happen, everyone can then basically download that information from the weekend and advance yourself in your life. But that's what's happening in meditation, is you're receiving downloads. Like download isn't a weird, like woke spiritual term that hippies use to, you know, make themselves sound good and like look good. It's literally what's happening to you all the fucking time. You're downloading information from this stream of consciousness on a consistent basis. The only difference between you and someone else who might receive more downloads is that they're just more conscious of what's coming into their mind. And as you become more conscious of the thoughts you're thinking, you start tracking where it came from, because not all your thoughts are yours, right? So the reason why all of this is so important, especially living here on Earth, is because we live within a fucking matrix with mind manipulation. And I don't want to get too like conspiracy on you, because you know I don't want to make it about that. But we do live in a matrix, and we do live in a mind-controlled population where the elites that are at a higher level of intelligence to us at this point in time, because they know this stuff, they've got elite bloodlines where they pass on the intelligence to their genes, basically, to their next generations. They've just got a head start. That's all it is. So they create electricity, technology within our reality that allows them to plant seeds of information, allows them to plant information into our minds that we either might want or maybe don't want. So the reason why I'm saying this is because when you wake up each morning, your mind has been susceptible to so much fucking information around you, right? When you wake up, do you ever think like, you go to bed all motivated, like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna make this happen tomorrow morning, I'm gonna live differently, I'm gonna make a change. But the hard part about making a change is when you've created a program and a pattern for your mind to think a certain way for so fucking long, that pattern becomes so thick, and that stream of water that's flowing through that pipe, which is basically like, a current of information that is based on a repetition of you firing those synapses consistently over time. Whenever you try to change your mental patterns, you have to change them, and you have to change the direction of the information flow in your mind, which basically means sometimes you have to swim against the current very strongly. And when you wake up, your mind is basically reset, and you can lose all of that motivation that you had, or like that will to change something, that will to think a different way. And it basically you do overnight, you can. And that's why meditation can anchor your day, and you can basically reduce the forgetfulness, and you can enhance the strength of the pattern that you want to change if you practice what I'm about to teach you morning and night, basically on each side of your sleep state. And also, based on what everyone touched on earlier, that's when you're in theta, right as you're drifting off to sleep and right when you're waking up, which means that your brain is the most able to change. It's the most malleable. Because what happens when you wake up and you follow the same program without consciously setting an intention for your day, getting clear about what you want to create for that day, all it takes is for you to open up that fucking phone and you're back to the matrix programming. Bang! And you've got to catch yourself every day to, like, if you really want to make strong change in your life in a short period of time where you literally can collapse time, it's down to how much consciousness and how much presence can you create and harness in your day. But it all starts, if you want to harness that power, you can't leak it in the morning and you can't leak it at night. Right? We've kind of like gone not necessarily in my most aligned, logical path of thinking, but does this make sense?
This is huge. This is
perfect sense. Especially
Okay.
what you just said.
Did you have that in this overview of that chart where you, I forgot which module it was, but you had like something, was it a mural or what was it called?
The human game.
Yes. Was there something like this in there as well? Or is
relatable, yes, for sure. It was based on programming and the connection to divine source and stuff, for sure. It's all connected, but sometimes like I'll just say different words or explain it a different way, and it's like just try to cross the patterns in a way, if that makes sense. Because it's quite complex. It's very complex actually, and just the more you talk about it, the more you think about it, the better, like you'll get this stuff and you'll start using it in your life, and then you'll have your own compass system to work with. Lastly, I will say that we crossed upon the term light worker before, right? Which basically means that you're just consciously aware of your existence, and to an extent, a little bit more about the meaning of life and why you're here. And you're also setting the intention to activate your personal power and your light in your life so you can create what you want and you can be of greater service to those around you. When you start firing those thoughts, there is a system in place called the matrix that's meant to catch those thoughts and target you as an individual, believe it or not, right? It's called psychic attack. So it sounds a little bit extreme. Don't be fearful of it or anything like that. But I will say that when you start trying to make a shift and start to make positive change where you're really getting greater control of yourself and your life, and you're really like sending signals out into the world and the universe that, hey, like Phil's fucking here ready to fuck some shit up. Daniel's here ready to fuck some shit up. Michael, Eric's here.
So hard, I'm feeling it nonstop. Like
just think about it for a second. We're here because we want to improve our life, and we want to do better things, and we want to be benevolent, right? The same way, there is a force out there.
With an equal and opposite reaction.
With people that are like us, but they're planning to do evil.
Yes.
And if you think about it, like, for example, movies, there have been like amazing movies, right? It's because someone thought about that shit, put it in the written word, and they created this movie.
Yes.
Like, same way, those plans can be written and they're deployed. Like, you see, no, that's too extreme. You would think, like, no, like, psychic attack, that's too extreme. It's not extreme, no?
Think of Inception.
It can be created, people are doing it.
You know Inception, basically dream hijacking, that's the common storyline. That can happen at nighttime, right? That can happen throughout the day. And it can happen telepathically, because there's advanced beings that can do that stuff. But it can also happen through the programming of your devices and just patterns in the matrix that can get you back on like your dumb programming, like your limited self-programming, your lower self-programming. So the point is not to be focused on those doing the negative programming, because then you're just giving them your power. The point is to be aware of what happens though, to allow you to reclaim your power to the highest extent and the highest capacity. Okay, are we on the same wavelength here? So it's cool shit though. It's really cool shit.
On that note though, on the negative, what did you call it? Negative psycho?
I try to be careful with words because it can put a lot of people off, but yeah. What they are negative entities.
So I was starting
or
to
beings.
One of the things I was thinking of when you were saying that was kind of also the crabs in the bucket syndrome. Like as you start to elevate, there's a counter force that's trying to pull you down.
Yep.
And it's every time you feel like you're making headway, for me anyway, it pops up in these areas and it's like, why are you trying to bring this down? There's nothing here but good. Why is this something that is, it's amazing. It happens every time now to the point where you just have to be, it's almost back to the, it doesn't matter, this is the mission. Yeah. I'm going to go through it, around it, over and over.
Yeah. Well, think about this. You will be challenged to the extent in which you are capable of overcoming. It's like, why does a sword get forged in the fire? To make it stronger. Why is a diamond built under pressure? It's what makes it great. It's what makes it beautiful. It's what allows it to like shine brighter. Look at, there's so much truth in so many storylines in movies. So The Matrix is one, right? When Neo's trying to break out of the Matrix. What are they? Like the not Men in Black, what are they? The guys that basically try to, the agents. They're tracking and trying to like take him down to avoid escaping the Matrix. But as he continues to pursue his path of escaping and transcending the Matrix, he gets more powerful. He awakens his gifts. So look at the storyline of like Superman or whatever you want to look at. There's common threads. Yeah, the hero's journey. It's like you will continue to, it's not that it's there to destroy you. Like, yeah, there might be like beings and entities that have that intention, but the cool thing about frequencies is that light basically dissembles darkness. You know, if you're in a dark room, all you have to do is turn on the fucking light switch and it's light again. So just by you acknowledging that and recognizing that, you can trust that your power is so great that you cannot be taken down by dark and negative entities, because you're going to start vibrating higher and above it. And the only thing that's going to allow you to be taken down is if you humor your self-doubt, because they like to attack in subtle manners. Your self-doubt is not yours. That was never yours in the first place, because where do you come from? Here.
It was in soul.
Which is infinite abundance, infinite intelligence, infinite light and power. That's your natural fucking state of being. The dark shadow self of us is why we're here on a dense reality. It's to learn more about the shadow, to learn more about the darkness and to overcome it and to rise above it. So your addictions, you faced off with those for a reason. They weren't you, they don't define you. They didn't define me, but by overcoming those, it challenges you to your core to like awaken the giant or the light within yourself. And when you do, you start to become a beacon, and then you start vibrating higher, and then once you start building momentum, there's no stopping you to your level of mastery and what you can accomplish. Like, I don't know, have you ever seen someone like so powerful? Like think of like Tony Robbins, right? Have you seen that guy live? Fucking insane. The energy that comes off that guy is like incredible. The presence, the power that he emits, it's just like, you can't describe it, but all you can feel is like that guy's fucking aura is just so impenetrable. Like nothing can penetrate into that aura because it's so powerful. He's such a master of himself, and he is so in control of his own ability to change. Whatever you believe about him, it's like nothing can deny him of that. And the same goes for you. There's no end to how powerful you can become, and you can use it for good. And you don't have to go and change the world, but know that by you just becoming the best version of yourself, you're becoming the best version, and you're changing the world in the greatest manner. And then you can decide whatever the fuck you want to do with that power. But a key step is to connect with Source, and also to go through another technique of, basically it's called bubbling ourselves in light, which protects us psychically. Because I don't know what your experience is, Phil, but you mentioned that when you're making headway in something, there's always something to kind of stop the train in its tracks, and you can feel it and know that. And this is another concept that I want to introduce, and it's what really motivated and inspired me to rise above my problems, and my self-doubt and my pity and shame sometimes, because when you're transforming and changing, there's the gap, right? There's the gap of where you are and where you want to be, and all you focus on is the gap and lack and limitation. But when you realize that any feeling of fear, self-doubt, self-pity, addiction, desire, anything that's reducing your energy is not yours. It's actually been strategically put in place by you karmically in a past life, or an entity that's trying to stop you in your tracks, to stop the work that you're doing, and to stop you from rising to the greatest ability within yourself. And when you know that, now it becomes a game. You're like, fuck these fuckers, and then it allows you, it kind of inspires you, where you guys literally are the hero of your own fucking movie. It's your own hero's journey transformation that is the most inspiring thing that you could ever do. Because I know without a shadow of doubt that you've lived your life to a certain degree, but you've always had this vision in your mind of where you want to go and the things you want to accomplish. Yes or no?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And the things you want to accomplish, that version of yourself at that level of power, is that truly inspiring to you or not?
Yes.
Yeah. But there's something that's stopping you from doing it. The only thing is your limiting belief in yourself. And you can use these practices to help you overcome that stuff, and to help you really work with the power of the universe and the light beings that are working here in your favor, and connecting to your higher self. Because your higher self knows. The higher version of you is so fucking intelligent. And you are the higher self, believe it or not. You are connected consciously, but you are just here living in a limited physical body, unfortunately. And the way to become a master at anything is to master your body, right? It's because within your brain and your physical vehicle, it's enmeshed in your DNA, you have that conscious and that intelligence ready to go. The only thing stopping you from getting there is the density of your body, the density of your consciousness, right? Because your consciousness from higher up here has to flow and stream into your body to activate your DNA. But if you're dense, if you're humoring limiting beliefs within inside of yourself, if you're not looking after yourself, if you're full of toxins inside of your system, you're not going to be able to become more light. In other words, vibrate at higher frequencies, because you will be able to absorb light in direct proportion to your vibration. The light that comes into your system will match you in the frequency in which you're vibrating, because all light vibrates, right? So if this light frequency, say from your higher self, is vibrating up here in the sixth dimension. So let's say this is totally absurd. It's just a figure to allow us to understand. 60 hertz, right? And if our body is full of toxins and is vibrating at 40 hertz, well, our body's not going to be able to receive the 60 hertz. It's going to blow out the fuses. It's going to be too powerful. There's going to be too much voltage trying to flow through us. This is how we're designed to make sure that we don't blow up, literally, to make sure our bodies don't just like pop a valve. This is what keeps us healthy to a degree. But as we start working with our body and increasing our capacity to hold more voltage, we become more powerful. You know, it's like electricity. What do you think charges you? What do you think energizes you? Primarily, it's energy from the sun and the food you eat. And ironically, the food you eat is energized by the sun, right? And then it holds energy, and then it lives for it has a half-life, it lives for a certain amount of time. Then you consume the fruit on the table. What are you doing? You're consuming the light that has gone into that substance, activated certain DNA structures, which then makes certain nutrients available to you in that fruit or in that food. So everything comes from here. And it is the highest frequency. But the reason why we can't receive all the downloads and all the information at once is because our circuitry is not built for it yet. So the meditation and the breath work is all about expanding the space within inside of ourselves. It's all about increasing our frequency, our vibration to hold more light. And when we do that, you become a genius. You become so intelligent. Are we good so far?
I have a question.
Yeah.
The challenges that come along the way that basically are there to give our soul the experience, like the chance to experience different things, because we come from basically from light, which does not have any negative or negative emotions or any, let's say, difficulties or whatever you want to call it. How do we discern what, you touched on that briefly, how we discern if it's something that is remaining from a past life that we did not accomplish in a past life?
Like karmic gunk?
Yes,
yeah.
that came and we have to deal with it in this life.
Mm-hmm.
And how we do discern if it's something from a so-called dark entity that is just thrown to us to hinder us to accomplish our goal.
Great question.
And like that we
I
can
love
say,
this question.
okay, I don't care about this. I know this is both negative, but this I kind of try not to say like that, but this I know I have to take care of because it's from a past life. I have to take care of this. This is just a distraction from a so-called dark entity, which is not serving me if I attend this. Perfect.
There's two answers to that question. Okay, so what is darkness? It's the absence of light. That is what dark entities thrive on, is the absence of light. So the only way a dark entity can hijack you, attack you in any form whatsoever is if there's a gap in your energy field, right? They have to have a gateway into you somehow. They have to be able to penetrate your energetic field. Now, what is going to create a gap in your energetic field? Something that you haven't resolved. So see how it's connected? So like, that's where you're most vulnerable, is in your unresolved healing, basically. So that's why healing is so powerful and so important. And that's why, you know, it's going to be impossible to like trace back through all your fucking past lives and like find that, what did I do here to create that karmic lesson that I've carried with me forever? All you have to do, it's so easy, just observe your everyday life right now. Because your higher self basically is putting you in situations and scenarios where you can have an opportunity to now consciously become aware of something, a blind spot, a shadow aspect of yourself that you can now heal from. And it's doing so you can reclaim your power. Thanks, mate. So as you go through lessons and as things show up, because our universe will mirror back to us what we need to learn, and our higher self will help us put us in certain scenarios to assist us in doing so. So all we need to do is just become more conscious about observing everything, absolutely everything. And the more we do that, it's really about assessing your feelings, because your feelings are, you're understanding your emotions and your feelings are the gateway to the highest intelligence. So for example, when we are going and walking about our everyday life, all we need to do is just trust that we're in the right place at the right time and there's something to learn from everything. And when we do that, we'll start to notice, all right, I'm in this room today. Have I been triggered today about something or something? What emotion did I feel when I got triggered? And then you need to align and tune into the frequency of the emotion. And we have words for the emotions, but all they are different frequencies. So say it's fear, or say it's judgment, or jealousy, or shame or guilt. Well, all we need to do is not be shameful or guilty about what we're feeling. We just need to be like, okay, I'm feeling this emotion. Why am I feeling that emotion? Is it due to a limiting belief, an attachment that I'm still holding, a way in which I'm viewing something, or is it from something that I haven't healed from my history? Basically a karmic energy that I've carried with me and have yet to resolve. You'll typically find the biggest main lessons that, it can take us lifetimes to overcome and learn and master. It could literally be something like forgiveness. Are we yet to forgive someone or something for something they did to us? Because by forgiving someone else, we also forgive ourselves for shit that we've done in our past lives. Because here's the thing, we've all played the victim and the perpetrator, right? And when we forgive, because we're all connected, when we forgive someone else for doing something, well, we create deeper understanding, because no one harms anyone else out of a place of love, right? They harm someone else out of a place of darkness, an absence of light, which means that they weren't connected to their highest and truest self when they did that act, because they were operating from a lower level of consciousness. And when we understand that, and understand that, hey, this person may have done this to me earlier in life, but it was never about me. What they did to me was just a reflection of their internal state of being. And if they did that to me, then, man, what must they be going through emotionally and mentally for them to actually commit that atrocity or do that to me and hurt me in that way? And if you've ever come into interaction with anyone in this realm, it means you have a soul contract with them. It means that before you incarnated here on planet Earth, you both basically pulled up a page and you wrote agreements of the experiences that you were going to have. And they might have said, hey, I love you so much, but in this lifetime, in this incarnation, I'm going to do this to you and hurt you. And that's going to suck for me, because then I'm going to have to hold on to so much guilt and shame for doing that to you once I come to the realization of what I've done. And you're going to be so hurt by what I've done to you. But then we're both going to have the opportunity, you're going to have the opportunity to resolve and learn the lesson of forgiveness, and I'm going to have the opportunity to learn the lesson of resolving my guilt and shame for what I've done. And you'll notice that they're very low energies, they're densities. It's by doing that, you learn more about the shadow aspect of yourself. So the key always in discerning whether it's stuff that you need to work through or whether it's a negative entity attacking you, it doesn't matter. It's like if a negative entity is attacking you in some way or planting words in your mind, it could be number one, well, I have a gap in my field where I'm allowing those thoughts to enter my head or my mind. And on the other side, if they're attacking me here, well, what have I yet to resolve where I'm still creating a leak in my aura, a leak in my energetic field, a leak in my bucket? So that's where it's literally like analyzing your life in such detail where who haven't I forgiven for something that they've done to me? Who do I need to apologize to for something that I've done to them? Who can I forgive? And it's not necessarily, you can quantumly forgive people too. It's not about going and having a conversation with them and saying, hey, I forgive you. It's an energetic thing. So, if you want to do the internal emotional healing work, you can literally go into a meditation and be like, pull up the intention, pull up the feelings of what they did to you, allow that feeling to come up within your system, and then you want to open up your heart and literally envelop that emotion with love, with assistance from your higher self. And that's how you start healing things and moving forward. Because if we don't do that stuff and we don't learn the lesson, well, we're coming back to learn it, and we'll just live out similar experiences in different ways as a different avatar. And we'll have to go through the process again.
So, as a practical approach, just what you were just saying, and coming back to the Tony Robbins priming thing, where he's kind of saying, okay, envision the people that are important to you, to fill them up with love or with light. Do you when, for example, you sit in meditation and a negative emotion about a thing that you haven't resolved is coming up, be it that you have to forgive, or be it guilt or whatever it is, depending which side you're on, but do you just fill that emotion up with love? Do you envision it in light, or how more as a practical approach? Because obviously this is always coming up. You just sit in stillness and thoughts come up or emotions come up and you think about something.
Or you get triggered, not even in a meditation, you get triggered somewhere else.
Exactly, and then you kind of lost, you already think about, you kind of resolving it in your mind, or you becoming upset in your mind or whatever it is, and then you catch yourself, and then what? In that moment it's like, okay, I got it.
Yeah, great question.
Love and light.
In that moment, I allow myself to be in that energy.
Okay.
It's called integration. So it's not avoidance, it's integration. Yeah. And that's what the prime directive of our universe is integration of the light and the dark. But we can't integrate if we avoid and suppress or run away from or judge. So it's like practicing non-judgment but non-attachment too. So if something like that comes up, it's literally first and foremost, non-attachment. I am not this emotion. It's not my truth. It's not who I am. I am not this thought. It's not who I am. However, I'm okay with sitting and feeling into the frequency and the energy that it brings up within me. Because once you do that, you allow yourself to be, and you can accept it as a part of yourself, as the shadow aspect of you, basically a dark aspect of you, and there's no right or wrong with it. It's just an aspect of who we all are and who you are. Because if you can accept that within yourself, you can start accepting and being way more compassionate with other people who might be going through that, but instead of them integrating it, they might explode at you or react at you. But the deeper you go and integrate it, then the more wise you'll become and the more you'll be able to hold. Because it's all about your ability to hold density at times as well. So step number one, practically, non-attached, so don't identify with it. And then secondly, embrace it and accept it. Then the integration phase comes when you start bringing light into it. Because love is the highest frequency that we can feel, and love heals all. So when we can tap back into the heart, what happens is the heart transmutes it, goes poof, and it's hard though, because then to heal things truly, you have to embrace your light and your divinity, which is very difficult to do, because that classic quote from Marianne Williamson, It's not our darkness that we fear, it's actually our light that we fear the most. Because we're used to our dark side. We're used to the dark aspects of ourselves. And sometimes that can even scare us, but what's even more scary than that is our power. And our power to heal when it hurts the most. That's what takes true strength and courage. It's easy to fight conflict with conflict, or like a dense emotion with dense energy. But it's very hard to like be the observer and to like tap into feelings of gratitude and love when we're in a really dark mental place.
It just reminded me also of something that I've read in a book called The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer, where he's talking about your ego or the negative emotions that come up to be something like a roommate. And what I have done, I actually forgot about it, but what I've done is whenever that came up, I was looking at that as being somebody inside of me, telling me some story of suffering or pain or negative emotions, and I would just listen and, oh, tell me more about it, and how do you feel now? And then just giving that person a hug and saying, it's okay, you can do it, don't worry about it. And filling it up with love and light in that aspect. So seeing that emotion as another entity or person or whatever inside of you, and just seeing yourself as the listener, and just being like full of light and presence, and being observing what that person is saying.
Yeah.
And then giving that person a hug and hope and faith that that person can go through that.
Awesome.
So
What's the
that's
name of the book again?
The Untethered Soul by Michael Singer.
Yeah, I love that.
It's a good book.
And it's seeing all of it as like everything is our teacher. So in something like, and yeah, you're spot on, like we can get into more advanced stuff if you guys want to, but psychic attacks can be legit and pretty intense at times. And I don't know if you guys have experienced it, but you can, when you get susceptible to energy, you can start feeling entities and stuff. And you know, in the day they'd label you as schizophrenic or something, but that's just a term that they use to explain something that they didn't really understand to a degree. And I don't want to get into that route, but you know, if I ever am fearful or worried of like an attack happening or anything like that, love is always the answer. Like as soon as you then like say, hey, like entity or whatever is going on here, you can label it whatever you want. Like the thought you're having in your head, or an emotion that you're feeling in your body, just love it unconditionally, including dark forces, including people that are doing the most insane things in our world. Like if you can look at them with unconditional love, like fuck, that's the greatest work there is.
That's what I always try to tap into when my wife is freaking out and having some kind of doubt, or what I talked about before. Then I say like inside of me, it's like it makes me so upset that she's coming up with that again, because the pattern. But then no, don't go there. And I just try to embrace as much as possible what she's saying, and like to really radiate that love that you're talking about now.
And the reason why it's so powerful is because the more that you can accept and just hold, you become, because here's the thing, to rise in power, when you rise in power, you're given great responsibility with that power, right? Like with great power comes great responsibility. So how would we think that you can rise in infinite amounts of power and conscious ability where you can create a lot of things and manifest a lot of things in your reality and perform at such great levels? How do you think you'd be granted that right without doing the work to like be able to hold a lot of stuff that comes up in everyday life? Like if you had that level of power and you know you can crumble at your missus flipping her shit at you, like you're not equipped to hold much more than that, right? Like that's your limit. So then our goal is to like always increase our limit of what we can stand in the face of. Like if all 4 of you just all of a sudden like went fucking nuts and started like abusing me and attacking me, it's like, would I be challenged in that moment to like not attack back? Could I hold that and just like understand and go to my higher self in that moment to be like, it's not about me, something's come up that they're going through together collectively for some reason, and I just need to keep my fucking cool and like express love to them in that moment? Or would I like go into fight and flight and go and like punch everyone in the face, or like, you know, see what happens, you know? I'm not saying I'd take you all on, but I reckon I wouldn't have too much of a chance with Phil. But see what I mean? How like you're becoming more able to hold more energy. Because you know your darkness so well. You know the dark, you know the shadow, that you're not scared of it and that you're not ashamed of it especially. You're not guilty of it either. But you can allow yourself to hold that energy, which then allows you, and also embrace your light, which all allows you to like be a guide and a leader for other people. Because other people are just trying to get a grip of their stuff. They're just trying to understand themselves. And you know, none of us have really been taught how to handle our emotions, but we're emotional creatures, and it's the energy that we all run on.
No, all this time that now that you mentioned that, I've been thinking or trying to avoid the dark side.
Yeah,
What
don't do
you're
that.
saying is like embrace it, like live with it, and try to like control it and welcome it, but knowing that it's not you, it's something that you have to live with it. And it's like it made me think about, I don't know if you guys have read this book, but it's called Relentless by
Tim
Yeah.
Grover. I just read it for the 4th time a couple weeks ago.
and he talks about my dark side, but all this time I've been like, no, I just have to avoid it. But now that you put it in this way, it's like it seems that it is way easier to live that way than instead of avoiding all this
Well,
shit.
think of this, you have nothing to fear.
The people that avoid that dark side are the people that are consumed and act reactively to everything that comes to them because they haven't embraced it.
Yes,
They haven't sat with it.
And it's
because
like
you're not able to hold it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a dense thing that is like, oh.
Because here's the thing, it's like Taoist philosophy, right? You know, if by avoiding the darkness, you'll attract more of it. But if you accept it and integrate it, you'll dismantle the energy and you'll become one with it. Like think of Bruce Lee fighting someone, right? Fighting an opponent. He was the master at using their force for his good and for his benefit. So think of like a dark force as like an attacker, an opponent coming at you in the fighting ring, right? Bruce Lee would use their energy and momentum and redirect it for his benefit. And then he would always come out on top because he was such a master at exerting little effort of himself, but just channeling and directing energies that were coming at him. And that's the same way you can view any of this stuff that we're talking about. It's like embrace and utilize the dark side, because the dark side holds a very fucking potent energy. And if you can learn how to channel it and redirect it for your benefit and your good intentionally with what you want to create, it can be a great tool. It can be a great tool that you can utilize, because our life here is not about just being a light, airy, fairy like love and light. It's about integrating all of it, all aspects of ourselves, and getting to know every side of ourselves. So the more we run away from our darkness, the more we run away from the shit that scares us, the more we'll attract it in a future moment, because by avoiding, we're creating karma in that moment.
It's interesting, the martial arts connection that you've made, because I just thought about if somebody that is not like accustomed or used to martial arts, if a punch is coming, they would just do this, and this would cause more harm than going in, like on the side into the punch and going closer to what's actually hitting you. And that's like the same with the dark things that are happening, or the challenges that are happening in life. The moment that you just do this and close your eyes and say, oh my God, it's coming, it's a lot worse than, all right, what's happening? Going closer and like really just trying to go around it, but observing, okay, what can I do about it? Like attacking it spot on. So that's
why I started doing jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu,
Yeah.
first of all because it's really fucking tough,
Yeah.
and also because you don't, the whole idea of Brazilian jiu-jitsu is trying to like, for example, you guys are way bigger than me.
Thanks, mate.
Physically.
Appreciate you.
But like someone
Yeah, it is.
It's like kind of like use your own power and leverage to put you underground and just choke your ass. But
How long is it?
it's not even about punching like striking.
How long have you been practicing?
Like about a year.
Oh, my best buddy's back. Come on. Feels like everything just got serious again.
Great.
You're in a fucking chirpy mood after that fucking drink. So engaged. I love it. Light is flowing through. All right, so we covered everything about source and the dimensions. We went fucking pretty deep on that stuff. So the application of meditation in creating the alley-oop for your session is to visualize in your mind's eye when you go into a meditation, when you get into it, it's first about connecting to your breath, right? Like getting into the flow of your breath, because the breath is the connection to the present moment. When you are conscious about how you're breathing every day, then you're going to basically start to come more alive, because breath is life force. And when you do that, there's an important technique that I'm sure you guys have learned at some capacity maybe, and at a fundamental level, we'll get a little bit more advanced on it over the next couple of days. But to start out, with breathing, it's really important that you're breathing deep into your diaphragm, right? Do you guys know that? And what you want to do, what you want to visualize yourself doing is, have you guys heard of your meridian channels?
Yes.
So in your body, right, you've got energetic channels that are channeling this light power, this light force that's streaming through you at all times. It's your divinity. And when your meridian, it's the energetic channels, one travels right down the front of your spine and one travels right down the back of your spine, up and down, right? So when you're energetically blocked, those meridian channels close up. Just think of it like a water pipe. And when you release and flush out all of the gunk from the water pipes, the water can flow freely. Same thing happens with your meridian channels and your energy. So the way that you actually expand your channels or your energetic channels, your meridians, is to just visualize it. And you can do that by feeling into it. So when you take a deep breath in, the process is, it's a 4-step process, but what you're gonna do is the first point of expansion is gonna be your belly, right? And then, that can create a bit of pressure, and we're always breathing in through your nose. That can create a bit of pressure. And then what you wanna do is you wanna kind of relax into that and imagine your back expanding out, right? So first you've got your belly expansion. Step 1 is diaphragm expansion here. Then, as you breathe in, you can literally just hold it and let that pull and let the air really sit deep within your belly. And then you're going to imagine in your mind's eye and literally think and direct your consciousness to expand your back parallel to your diaphragm. So if I'm breathing in here, then I want to imagine the air filling up this space and making all this space more light. And then you're going to not push your back, but you're going to just imagine it getting lighter and expanding beyond you.
I heard a good metaphor of exactly what you're saying. It's imagine there's an air mattress in your back. Starting from there and then letting it expand almost like an air mattress.
Yep, it's going out. Yeah, so you want to imagine, first your belly and then your back. So like what Phil said, an air mattress expanding out, and it starts expanding from your base. And then the next point of expansion is your chest and your thoracic spine. So the 2 points are going to be basically right here. So then what you're doing is you're filling your base up first, and then that's going to continue expanding up. And then as you release your air, the top part is going to basically condense first, and then this is going to condense afterwards. Does that make sense? So it's like in, expanding, then moving up and expanding, and then retracting up the top and then retracting down the bottom. And it's subtle. It's not necessarily a physical, I mean, the air coming in is a physical expansion, but then your back expanding, that's you literally like allowing more space within inside of yourself and imagining it with your mind's eye and just creating more space for air to move through, and that creates the gateway for your meridians to open more and for your energy channels to open up more freely. So that will help. That's always really the first step, is I always do that. Then the next step is, what you want to do is call upon source for a purity blast. And what this does is, when you ask for a purity blast, what that's doing is it's a blast of light energy that travels right through you. Now, as soon as you ask for it, know that it happened. But your ability to perceive it will improve over time, right? So if you're just like, I ask for a purity blast, well, you've got to have conviction behind your words. And you don't have to say it out loud. Everything is heard telepathically in the higher realms. And what that's going to do, it's essentially, if you're here, and this central sun is up here, and light is always streaming down. Well, when we're blocked, when we're condensed, the light, because we're more dense, the light's not flowing through us. So as we start to get in tune with our breath, we're feeling into our body, we're getting in the present moment. Then to clear our energy field, because if we are going about our everyday life and we're sitting down for a meditation, but we just had a fucking fight with the missus, and her energy field is like this. And then we just had a fight, and now all of a sudden your energy field is like this because you've got a bunch of pissed off anger within your system because you've absorbed maybe her energy, whatever else is going on, you had conflict, you've been on social media, you're absorbing all of that energy from around you. What a purity blast does, it's going to go foof and just basically blow out all of the energy that's not yours. And over time, this is going to allow you to clear your energetic system more frequently. But we want to do it in meditation, so we immediately just set our default where it's like, I'm not accepting other people's energy in this meditation, I'm returning to myself. I'm resetting my own set point. And that cleanses your energetic field. So, step one is the breath. And the count for the breath can be anything like, you can play with it, it's totally up to you. I really like a box breathing breath where it's 4 in, a count for 4 in, hold for 4, release for 4, hold for 4. So it's box breathing, a square breath. 4, 4, 4, 4, very simple. In time, as you get better, if you really want to down-regulate your nervous system, you can do an out breath for double your in breath to really relax your nervous system. Because breath work is all about really nervous system regulation. Getting us into that parasympathetic state of being where we're into the relaxation and, what is it? Relax and fight or flight, rest and relax. Yeah, rest and relax state. So number one is breath. You can do 4, 4, 4, 4. You can mix that up as you see fit intuitively. Next thing that we want to focus on entering into a meditation is purity blast. The way you communicate with the higher realms is, all you need to do is like literally in your mind, you say, I now call for a purity blast of the highest and most pure light. Because you know how we were saying, there's some little dark entities that like to get in the way sometimes. So whenever you call on your higher self or another being that you might be connected to or you might develop a relationship to at some point in the future, or if you want to ask for a purity blast, after every sentence it's just like from the highest and purest light, which basically sets your intention to connect to the great central sun, the prime creator. number 3 is we want to, now you may perceive this in different ways. You want to create a light field around you, secondly. The reason why we do this is some people will do it to create a protective light field around them. However, that can cause like limitations in your own mentality. Thinking like, oh, I need to create a light aura to protect myself. It's like when you truly are aligned with integrating all energies, you just naturally know that you're secure, protected, safe, and you don't have to like go through a ritual to protect yourself, right? But what we want to do, and the reason why I like to create a light field around myself, is to amplify my energetic state of being and start to connect me with higher realms. So the way you do this is you need to create a Taurus energy field around you. Now we always have Taurus energy fields around us, and the point of setting our intention is to expand that energetic field. So step 3 is to create a light field around our body. The way you do this, and this is about creating heart-brain union as well. So if our heart is here, well, at all times, you know how I said you have meridians? So the meridian channels in your body are always basically amplifying and channeling light through your body. So it comes down from the central sun. So if light is coming down, and it comes down through the crown of your head, down your spine, through your chakra system. We won't get into chakras just to avoid complication for now. And then it connects into your heart chakra. Your heart chakra is the gateway to universal intelligence. So whenever you're wanting to amplify this light frequency, if you're ever confused, if you're ever caught up in your mind like, oh, what's the step? Literally just express compassion and gratitude and love for, think of the one person that you love the most in the world and like amplify the love and gratitude that you have for them. And that's going to start to connect you into your heart space, which is going to amplify your energetic field. So this is where we get to start amplifying your energetic field, right? Is this making sense so far?
Yeah.
Then, as you start to connect to compassion and gratitude, the flow of energy is going to start amplifying from naturally, without you thinking about it, from the great central sun. Because the central sun, the prime creator, flows energy to everything that's benevolent, compassionate, and loving. Once you light field, I'm going to say light field / heart / gratitude. That should trigger enough memories or like things to think about that. Now, because we live here on Earth, we also need to ground ourselves to the grounding energies of Mother Gaia to really connect our energy and to remain stable. Because what's happening is, in meditation, is we're becoming more conscious. We're expanding our mind. We're going up. And when we go up and expand our consciousness, it can destabilize us if we're not grounded. That's why we need to put a grounding cord into the earth. So then the way to do that is to imagine a big rod basically right up under your ass, and that's that thick and going straight down into the earth's core. So then if you're sitting like this on a chair, your visualization would literally be like a massive metal rod up your ass. Right?
That's the hardest thing.
Michael's ready for this meditation. What color is yours going to be, Michael? some rose gold or what? So this is Earth. And Earth, the highest intelligence that Earth has, we've got, Earth itself has like a crystalline grid connected all throughout the planet. So just imagine like massive fuck off crystals all deeply implanted in the Earth, all basically connected and talking to each other, transferring information all the time. They are holding Earth's energies. And we here, as we are the inhabitants on Earth, the way that the crystals receive the energy in Earth is through us, through conscious beings. So, I mean, they are the most conscious beings, but we can amplify their energy and they can amplify ours when we're connected to them. So imagine like big crystals right at the core of the Earth, like however you want to visualize that, like big white crystals everywhere in a grid structure under the Earth. So once we start expanding our heart and once we start expressing gratitude, we're now opening up our frequency, we're opening up the portal, the gateway to universal intelligence. As that happens, the next step is to imagine essentially the next step is to imagine the rod, the grounding rod, up your ass. And that's going to channel, and you're going to imagine that rod of light connecting all the way down to Earth. Make sense? Is this too weird?
I kind of imagine it, I'm doing something similar, I imagine it as an extension of my spine.
Yep, you can do that.
To say, okay, I'm connected to the center energy of the Earth through my spine and breathing through my spine. This is
Perfect.
I relate to it more than the rod is kind of intimidating.
Easy. We're all at different levels, mate. It's fine. Okay, so yes. As your heart expands, know that you're naturally going to start receiving energy from here. But the first step before we worry about connecting to the central sun is we need to get grounded through the energy field. And what it actually is, it's not a metal rod. It's actually light traveling through our chakras, right? But there's energy portals, energy centers that are, we've got 7 of them in our body. There's 2 that are right above our head. And that's the gateway that connects us to the central sun. And then we've also got earthing, grounding chakras. And that's how they basically are energy centers. And as light enters your chakra, it then amplifies it and like continues to flow energy up and below you. We won't worry about that today because it is a little bit complicated. And it will take a whole nother day to really discuss properly. So as we get grounded, in your mind's eye, Eric, you're visualizing light traveling down from your spine, and it's just a light, like a rod of light traveling right down to the Earth's core, into the crystalline grid. Then, as you do that, you're then going to imagine the crystals returning the favor and coming right back up to you, to your heart. And then once you are grounded, like both ways, now you can start opening up to higher frequencies. And that's where you're going to imagine a golden light, a golden white light coming down from the center of the universe, the central sun, through your crown chakra and meeting in your heart. And eventually what you'll imagine in your eye, once you've gone through the process, is essentially this. That's meant to be your heart, by the way. Earth. So you're going to imagine energy meeting in the middle at your heart chakra, and that's what's then going to amplify your torus field. Have I made a mess of this, or does this resonate and make sense? And the more you do it, the better you'll become at visualizing it, right?
What is a torus field exactly?
Let me, you know what? I'm just gonna finish off the fifth one. I'll show you it on my laptop.
Okay. It's like, imagine
Oh, yeah, the two poles.
Yeah,
Like
and
a
it
net.
goes all the way around.
Yeah, okay.
I did one with the apple form. Yeah.
Okay, so
What's that?
They're
Apple
good,
French.
yeah.
They're in some dangerous.
Yeah.
They're
I was gonna send a picture to my wife.
No, I don't,
We had a bunch
no,
of
I
them.
don't want her to buy it. Don't buy it.
The red velvet cake is pretty good. Yeah, but they have a lot of.
okay, so can everyone see that?
Yeah.
That's what you're imagining, right? Cool. And then you're going to imagine so the energy is basically flowing simultaneously up and down. So it basically passes up and down, and then it creates this field around you. And when we're connected to love, it amplifies. When we're fearful, when we're egotistical, when we're afraid, it diminishes and reduces. So the goal in meditation is to amplify this sucker, is to amplify your energetic field, because as your energetic field amplifies out, number one, you actually create an amazing impact on Earth when you're sending out that loving energy all around you. Number two, it makes you more able to perceive higher intelligence and higher information. Because the information will come to you in through your heart and then be delivered to your mind for your mind to try and grasp and perceive what's come in.
Do you envision that field in the process?
Yep.
Okay. That's a good way to think of it.
So exactly. So you envision this field, and to really connect yourself and really go all the way with this, you want to first start off with just this field bubbling your body, right? And then that creates an impenetrable light field around you. Then you want to imagine it filling up this room. So then your environment's becoming and being influenced by the loving energy. Then to connect with everything, you want to imagine it encompassing your town, then your country, then the world, then the solar system, then the galaxy and the universe. The more you do it, you'll literally start to imagine essentially as the information comes from above and below, you want to imagine an explosion taking place every time you breathe in your heart. And every breath, it's just expanding out and out and out. And it literally is. You just can't see it. So as you breathe in, you're going to receive the energy, and it's going to be coming in from both directions. And then you're going to hold your breath. And that's the purifying process, right? That's where you're allowing the energy to come in and be filtered through your heart. So as you breathe in for 4 seconds, in your mind's eye, the energies are coming in. When you hold, you want to change your mentality to focus on love and gratitude, or the person that you love the most, right? And that's literally going to infuse that feeling in that energy. And then as you breathe out, that's you giving love back to everything else and expanding your field around you. So then as you breathe out, that energy is literally trickling all the way around your body. And as you amplify that, then it's going to be on you how much you get out of the meditation. The more you really hone your focus and feel those feelings, holy shit, your world can open up and you can feel some incredible things when you get this right. It takes practice, it takes work to get there. It's not easy. You really got to work with your breath, bring the energy in, expanding your meridians, feeling into the love and compassion of literally everything, and literally merging and becoming one, where it's the out breath is the letting go, where once you get it right, you can honestly feel yourself just becoming nothing as your energy expands that powerfully outside of yourself. And think of the out breath as like, that's where you're merging with everything. It's like you're sinking into your seat, the bed that you're on. You're becoming one with everything around you. You're melting into that energy. And then once you get there, you can, like I said, you'll probably, if you practice this stuff regularly, you'll experience all sorts of different things. And that's the space where you can literally start communicating with higher beings in time or whenever you're ready.
I've noticed with the breath, and I know that this is all, you can move the counts as much as you need to, but I had a huge impact, like you're saying, changing the counts of when the holds are about, call it half as much as the inhales and exhales. But I found that as well when you were really holding them and then that release. I haven't done it thinking about the directional, like what we're about to try, I'm sure. But
so
I
I
can
do
imagine that being huge as you're doing the holds and then inhale and exhales with them being longer. I've noticed a huge impact of that clear feeling, almost nothingness.
It's a good point. So this one is typically my go-to for starting.
Easy.
And then, and it's just easy to remember. But once you're in these feelings, remember, get out of your fucking head. It's total intuition takes over. If you feel like you need to hold it for some reason, there's something there and you need to hold your breath longer, do it. If you feel like you need to have longer inhales, longer exhales, follow your gut and your intuition, because that's leading you and that's you getting used to working with your own system, right? And that's really the key, is there's no right or wrong, because your breath work and your meditation is you learning how to operate your own computer system, your own vehicle, your own vessel. So experiment with a bunch of different shit. But the key is to get into the feeling and not all right, I'm letting go for 4, I'm holding for 4. As you know, if you're doing that more, you're more in your mind, the ego self, and you're less in your feeling. Sounds weird, especially because we're in a group of 5 dudes and we're about to do a meditation, but it's almost like you're having sex with yourself. And it's like the energy. When you have the best sex with your partner and they feel it the most, it's when you're the most consciously present, when you're out of your mind, you're not worried about the physical, you're melting and becoming one. But if you learn this shit and you apply it into that, holy shit, things will take off. Because then that, when you match and partner a masculine energy and a feminine energy together, connected, and do this shit, then that's the ultimate power. Because right now you're working at 50% capacity. Once you add the feminine aspect onto it, that's where that's really the secret to sex. That's the ultimate power that exists. And that allows you to manifest and literally create what you want. But it's hard to get there because we're always filtering things in our mind. So,
what's number 5?
Yeah, this is grounding rod. So we've got the breath, purity blast, light field, or call that gratitude. Then you're extending your grounding rod. And then once you do that, the energy's coming back up. And then you're pulling energy in from, call it prime creator.
So meeting, that's the meeting of both.
Meeting of both, yeah. So this is below. This is above. But remember, the way to remember it, it's in order to get connected to above, we need to get grounded below. So as above, so below as above. And then we are the middle point. We're the intersection in which all energy meets. Your heart is, anyway. Does this make sense so far? And hey, we're going to have a few meditations. So if you feel like I can't get it right in this one, I can't remember the sequence, don't worry. I'm going to talk you through each one as you're going for the first time round. And then a guided meditation for the first probably 10 to 15 minutes. And then I'm going to leave you guys on your own to basically experiment with your breath, kind of sink into that hole, that void that you really want to try and look for it, essentially. So let's do it. I'm going to pull up some tunes. So what you can do It's like light in here. But if you want to sit on your chair, you can do that. I like sitting down like this because it's easy for me to visualize the rod going down. Because when I'm laying down, it gets a little bit weird, because then it's like, but shouldn't the light be coming from the top? And then when you're laying down, it's like coming in from sideways. So you can sit on the floor. I find like a chair is a really good position because it opens up your energy. If you're on the floor, it's really whatever's comfortable, but cross-legged works, lying down even works. But I found the best success in getting my energy flowing to be sitting down like this. And then literally don't give a fuck about what anyone else is doing. Who cares? We're all humans, and just here to, work with your own internal system. Oh, one last thing I forgot. When you get into it, at the very beginning, place your tongue on the roof of your mouth, pressing against your front 2 teeth. Don't do it forcefully. Try and relax your jaw as much as you can in that position where you're literally resting your tongue on the top of your mouth and your teeth. So then what you can do when you breathe out, that can help you regulate your breath as well. But your tongue is the organ or the muscle with the most nerve endings. And when you're focused on your tongue, the pressure point on your tongue, it brings your consciousness into the now moment more effectively than anything. So it can really get you present, which then helps in your meditation.
When you breathe out, you breathe
So
through the nose?
you can do what you want, but I personally, it's whatever's comfortable, but I personally do in through my nose, out through my mouth. So like when you're holding your tongue, it like feels a bit weird, but it's just like relax into it.